acceleration. Okay, so we'll spend some more time on the velocity time graph, because this is the very important as the your competitive exam is concerned. Okay, so in the velocity time graph, we will look at the how the direction of the body changes when slope changes, or when the velocity changes. Okay, so most of time when we think that when velocity in the graph, when velocity comes to zero, many people thinking that the body is coming to the original or reference point. It is not like that. In position time graph, when the graph comes to zero, that means body is coming back to its original position, but not in case of velocity time graph. In velocity time graph, if velocity axis is coming to zero, doesn't mean that body is coming to origin. It means that its velocity is coming to zero, means body coming to rest, but not to its original position. It may be anywhere. Okay, so we'll discuss few more examples. We will understand. So velocity time graph, I will write it as what? VT graph. Okay, VT graph. Okay, so we have discussed in last class. So if I take a general graph, that is velocity I am going to take here and time I am going to take here, and this is what the graph I got. Okay, if this is the graph, what is happening with time? With time, velocity is what? Velocity is increasing. Velocity is increasing with constant values, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, like that velocity is increasing. Okay, now if I take a slope, so suppose say time is here, I will take 2, here I will take 1, here velocity I will take 10, here velocity I will take 5. So if I calculate the slope, so 10 minus 5 divided by 2 minus 1, so what I will get? I will get 5 meter per second square, because this is what acceleration. So acceleration is what? Acceleration is positive. Acceleration is positive means this graph is suggesting if this is the origin, velocity is in this direction. Okay, so you means what? Velocity is in positive x direction, or positive x axis. What about acceleration? Acceleration also you are getting what? Acceleration also you are getting positive. That means direction of acceleration is also along the positive. So A is also along positive x axis or along positive x direction. Okay. So this is what. Now I am talking only about the directions. I want to make it clear that what are the directions of velocity and acceleration with the help of graph. Okay. Apart from that, here anywhere you can calculate the slope. Slope will be constant. That means that velocity is increasing with a constant value. That is a different thing. Now come to only direction. So velocity is also along positive x direction and acceleration is also along positive x direction. When both are in same direction, remember the body is accelerating. The speed is increasing. So what you can consider, body is accelerating. Okay. I hope you got when body is accelerating or when body will be accelerating. Okay, so second graph I will take here. So again I will take in the first quadrant only. So what will happen here? Graph is going to be something like this. This is what the graph. When t is 0, velocity is here. So some v is here. Okay, so when t is some t value, so it is here. Graph is decreasing. Okay. So now if I calculate the slope, this is going to be your slope. Okay. So here say it is 10, here say it is 5. In general values I am taking, it is not exactly 5 and 10. So here it is what? 1 second, here it is what? It is going to be 2 seconds. Okay. So now slope is what? Slope is, this is T2, this is T1. Okay, this is what? V2, this is V1. Okay, V2 minus V1. So 5 minus 10, V2 minus V1. This is what? Okay, so then T2 minus T1, T2 minus T1 is 2 minus 1. So this is going to be what? Minus 5 minus 10 is what? Minus 5. So 2 minus 1 is 1. So this is what? Minus 5 meter per second square. Okay, so here what this acceleration is what? Negative. What this acceleration negative is giving? Now here body, this is the origin, okay, when t equals to 0. So what is happening? Your velocity is positive only anyway. Here velocity is positive only. Okay, if graph comes in this quadrant, here it is what? Going to be negative. But as of now, velocity is what? Velocity is positive only. Okay, so body is moving along positive x direction only. V is along positive x direction only. Okay, so it is positive x direction. But what about acceleration? Acceleration you are getting negative. Acceleration you are getting negative means what? Acceleration is opposite to the v. That means acceleration is in this direction. Okay, acceleration is in this direction. That means A is along negative x axis. A is along negative x axis. V is along positive x axis. A is along negative x axis. So opposite. V is in positive x. A is in negative x. That is why what is happening? Its velocity go on decreasing. Negative x acceleration means what? It is opposite, means it is just like applying the brake. You are de-accelerating. So body of course moving in the positive x axis, positive x direction, but acceleration is along negative x direction. That is why velocity is decreasing. You are applying the brake. Okay. So remember, when velocity is decreasing, it doesn't mean that body is moving in opposite direction. No, body is moving in forward direction only, positive x direction only, but you are getting acceleration negative, means acceleration is along negative x axis, means velocity is decreasing. Okay, whenever things comes back, if somebody asks velocity and acceleration are opposite, what you can comment on the body is the speed of body or velocity of the body is decreasing. Okay, like that we should remember. Velocity, acceleration, same sign. Accelerating means velocity is increasing. Velocity and acceleration are opposite side. What is happening? Velocity is decreasing. Okay, so these kind of things are very important in the need or seat. Okay, so next now I will take in the negative x axis or negative y axis. Okay, this is what? Positive x. So this is what? Positive y. So here what you will get? You will get the negative y. Okay, so if graph is something like this, so now what you can comment on this graph? So here y is negative, means velocity is negative. Okay, means what? It means that the direction of body is along negative x axis. Okay, suppose if body is here, if this is the origin, so body is moving in this direction. This is what the direction of velocity along what? Along negative x axis, along the negative x axis. Okay, so v is along negative x axis. Remember, v is along negative x axis. Because v is negative, here you will take minus 5, here you will take minus 10, minus 15, minus 20, like that. But t is to always positive. So I will take here just t is positive. Okay, so now if I calculate the slope, what will happen? I will take the slope somewhere here. Okay, so 10 and 5, here I will take 1 and here I will take 2. Okay, so slope is equals to what is this? Is T2 and this is T1. This is what? V2 and this is what? V1. So V2 minus V1, minus 10 minus 5, minus of minus 5, minus 10 minus this is what? Minus 5. So divided by T2 minus T1, 2 minus 1. So 2 minus 1. So minus minus plus, so minus 10 plus 5 divided by 1. So minus 10 plus 5 is what? Minus 5 meter per second square. So here acceleration is also negative. Acceleration is also negative. That means acceleration is also in this direction only. A is also in this direction only. Means A is also along negative x-axis only. Now both are negative x-axis means what? Again the velocity of body is what? Increasing. Velocity of the body is increasing, but direction is what? Direction is along the negative x-axis. Okay. So again, whenever both are having the same sign, B and A have the same sign, means that velocity is increasing. When they have opposite sign, velocity is decreasing. Okay. But what is the difference between the first graph and second graph? Difference between first and second graph is velocity is increasing in both the graphs, but it is increasing along the x-axis, positive x-axis. This is what? Along the negative x-axis. Here also V and A are same sign. Here also V and A are same sign, but negative. Okay. So that is what about this graph. I will take one more example. So suppose in negative direction only, if graph is something like this, if graph is something somehow like this, okay. So now what you can comment here, okay. So what is happening here? Say it is what V is negative, and this is what T is positive. V is negative, V is negative, T is what? Positive. Okay. So now what is the direction of velocity? Direction of velocity is along negative. So V is along negative x-axis. If this is the origin, V is what? V is along the negative x-axis. Okay. So along the negative x-axis. Now, what about A? We have to calculate about the acceleration. From the graph only you can understand. Initially velocity is very high. Velocity is what? Velocity is decreasing, and it is becoming what? It is becoming zero. Velocity decreasing means what? Acceleration and velocity should be of opposite sign. So acceleration should be what we get? We should get positive x. Okay, so we'll see. If I calculate the slope of this one, where I can calculate. So if I calculate slope, so slope what you will get? Say I will take the slope somewhere here. Okay, so I will take the slope. This is what I will take 10, and this is what I will take 5. Negative or positive? Negative 10, negative 5. So this I will take 2, and this I will take 1. Okay. So V2 minus V1. V2 is what? Minus 5. Minus, what is V1? V1 is minus 10. Divided by T2 minus T1. 2 minus 1. So what you will get? Minus 5 minus plus 10 divided by 1. So minus 5 plus 10. It will become what? Plus 5. So plus 5 meter per second square. This is what? Acceleration. Acceleration you are getting what? Acceleration you are getting positive. So A is along positive x-axis. A is along positive x-axis. So velocity is in this direction, negative. So A is what? A is opposite, means along positive x-axis. Again here, velocity and acceleration are what? Opposite. Again, this means that you are applying the brake. So that is why in the graph, so velocity is what? Velocity is decreasing. Why it is decreasing? Acceleration is opposite. You are applying the brake, you are de-accelerating. So that is why you are getting opposite signs. Okay. So from all these four graphs, what we have to understand? We have to understand that if A and B are of same sign, that means that body is accelerating, velocity is increasing. If A and B are of opposite side, that means that velocity is decreasing. Okay. So I hope you can able to tell whether body's velocity is increasing or decreasing based on this discussion. So here both are positive. So body is what? Velocity is increasing means accelerating. So here Here what is happening? A and V and A are what? Opposite side. So opposite side means what? It is deaccelerating. Means velocity is what? Velocity is decreasing. That means what? Deaccelerating. Deaccelerating. Or you can also call it as what? Retardation. Retardation. Okay. So again here same sign. It may be a negative, but same sign means what? It is accelerating. It is accelerating. Okay. So similarly here opposite sign means what? It is deaccelerating. So deaccelerating, or you can say it is retardation. Okay. So whatever. So these are the few very important things from the VT graph. So now I will give some example graphs. We'll see whether you are able to describe the motion or not. Okay. So when I plot the graph, you pause the video, you try to analyze the graph, you try to describe the motion. Okay. So later you again start watching. So first graph is what? First graph as usual. So this is what the first graph. Okay. So second graph is something as usual. It is like this. Third graph somehow like this. Okay. Fourth graph is something like this. Okay. So these are the what? These are the few graphs. So what is the graph? It is V versus T. Velocity time graph. Okay. So velocity time. Here velocity time. Here velocity and time. Okay. So now describe these graphs. How we can describe the motion. So from the first graph, what graph is showing? Suppose time is changing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It go on changing. Okay, you cannot stop the time. But velocity, suppose here it is 10. When it is 1 second, it is 10 only. When it is 2 seconds, it is 10 only. When it is 3 seconds, it is 10 only. That means this graph is suggesting velocity is what? Velocity is constant. Velocity is constant. Velocity is not changing. Can you calculate the slope here? You cannot calculate the slope here because delta y is not there. Delta y is not there. That means slope is going to be what? Slope is going to be 0. That means what? Acceleration is 0. Okay. That means that body is not accelerating. It is moving with some constant velocity. Means uniform velocity. It is maintaining uniform velocity. You can calculate A here. V2 minus V1. V2 minus V1 divided by T2 minus T1. V2 is also 10. V1 is also 10. So 10 minus 10 divided by say some 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1. 10 minus 10 is what? 0. So that is why you will get slope 0 or acceleration is 0. So velocity is constant. So body is not accelerating. Not accelerating. Not accelerating. Okay. But moving with what? Moving with constant. Moving with constant velocity. Moving with constant velocity. Remember, if same graph if you get in xt position time, then what you should say? You should say that body is at rest. If it is position time graph, if it is xt graph, but now it is what? Vt graph. Now it is what? Vt graph. So you cannot say body is at rest. You should say it is moving with constant velocity. Come to second graph. So in second graph, when t equals to 0, already it is having some velocity, say 5. Already it is having some velocity. That means when t equals to 0, v is not equals to 0. V is having some velocity, say some 5 meter per second square. That doesn't mean that you have to take 5 only. So you can take some v value. Okay, some constant value. I can take it as v. Okay. So that means t equals to 0 means what? Initial velocity it is. it is having, body is having, first thing we should know this one, body is having some initial value, initial velocity. Initial velocity is not equal to 0, it is having some initial velocity. Okay, so after that v is increasing as t increases. After that v is increasing as t increases. Okay, so if you take this slope, you will get some slope, so you will get some acceleration. So what is happening here? Velocity is increasing means velocity increasing. That means what? Body is accelerating. So how you can say body is accelerating? V is positive. What about A? This graph, last discussion we have seen. If this is so, you will get this also positive, this also positive. So A is also positive. If both are of same sign, what we discussed, if both are of same sign, body is what? Body is accelerating. What is the direction? V is also in this direction, A is also in positive x direction. Okay, this is very important from this graph. So next here, if we come to the third graph, again it is velocity time. Okay, so again it is velocity time. Now initial velocity is not equal to 0, it is having some velocity. So v initial, or I will take it as v naught is not equal to 0. It is having some initial velocity, So from here to here, velocity is what? Velocity is positive. What about the slope? If slope was there on this side, slope was positive. Okay, it is positive. Now here slope is going to be what? V2 is less than V1, or V1 is greater than V2. So V1 minus V2 will become what? Negative. So slope or acceleration is what? Acceleration is negative. Here from this point to this point. Okay, or you can say this as some 5 seconds. So till 5 seconds, these two are opposite. These two are opposite means what? Body is deaccelerating or velocity is decreasing. Decreasing. Okay, so velocity is what? Velocity is decreasing. Now come here, after 5 seconds, what will happen after 5 seconds? So for this, if I write the direction of what? Velocity and acceleration, it is moving here. Velocity is obviously positive, but acceleration is in opposite direction. Okay, so now after 5 seconds, what will happen? V is becoming negative. Here V is negative. So V is what? V is negative. But if you take the slope, slope is going to be what? Slope is also going to be negative, A. So what is that here? V1 is less than V2. So what you will get is, say some minus 10 minus 5 divided by 2 minus 1. So minus plus it will become. So this will become what? Negative only. I am taking some values, so don't worry about that one. So V1 is negative, V2 is negative. Okay, but V2 is greater than V1. So obviously resultant sign will come with what? With a greater value. So A is also what? A is also negative. So you refer last graph, you will understand why A is coming negative. Okay, that means if I plot the direction of body, V is negative means what? V is in this direction. Okay, V is going in this direction. What about A? A is also negative. So A is also negative. If both are of same sign, that means what? Body is accelerating. Okay, so because both are in same direction, you are just accelerating. So that is why. So after 5 seconds, body is accelerating, means velocity is increasing but along negative x-axis. So velocity is increasing along negative axis, along negative x-axis. Okay, so you try to analyze yourself, you will understand. Okay, next, if I come to this graph, this also we have discussed just before only. So here what is happening? Suppose this is what T here and B is here. Now in the beginning, if you take this as some 5 seconds, till 5 seconds, first when t equals to 0, velocity is having some initial value, some initial value is having some initial velocity, but what it is negative. It is negative. That means that if this is your origin, body is moving in this direction, b is along negative, p is along negative, till where? Till 5 seconds. So here p is negative. What about slope? If you take the slope, this is what v1, this is what v2. Okay, so here v2 is also negative, v1 is also negative. Okay, so v2 minus v1, negative of small value minus negative of negative large value, so that will become a positive large value. It is if you take this as -5, this as -10, what will happen? -5 minus of -10. So what will get? -5 plus 10. So it will become what? +5. That means slope is coming what? Slope is coming positive. Means acceleration is coming positive. So acceleration is coming positive means what? Acceleration is along positive x-axis. So acceleration is along this direction, along the positive x-axis. So now acceleration and velocity are opposite direction. Opposite direction means what? Body is accelerating or deaccelerating? Body is deaccelerating. That is why its velocity is decreasing. So body is deaccelerating or velocity is decreasing. Velocity, or what you can say is body is moving along negative x-axis with decreasing velocity. Velocity is decreasing, but in what direction it is moving? It is moving in negative x direction only. Okay, so I hope you are getting this one. Try to analyze properly, draw it in the page, or you can write, you take different graph, you'll understand. Okay, so here after 5 seconds, if I take here after 5 seconds, so what happens here? Suppose if what is velocity? Velocity is going to be positive. So velocity is what? Positive. Velocity is positive. What about slope? This is what the slope. Slope means what? Acceleration. Acceleration is also what? Positive. If both are positive, body is what? Body is accelerating. Okay, means velocity is increasing. Now you may ask me, so what is the direction? Now body is moving what? Body is moving along positive x-axis. So if I what is the direction here? Here velocity is also in this direction. Acceleration is also along positive x-axis. Both are along positive x-axis. Means what? Both body is totally moving in positive x direction with increasing velocity. Now if I draw the motion diagram for both, see here, very interesting. So it was the origin. Till 5 seconds, velocity is what? In this direction. Means body was moving in this direction, but velocity was decreasing. Suppose here it was 10, this becomes 0. Suppose here it was 10, it becomes what? 0. Now after this, what is happening? Direction is changing. It is becoming positive. So now after coming here, it will change its direction. So its velocity will become 0 here. Here its velocity is 10. This is what the origin. Now after 5 seconds, after 5 seconds, it changes direction from negative to it is coming to what? Positive. From negative velocity to it is coming to positive means what? Velocity means direction of body is what? Changing. So it was coming with high speed, you apply the brake, so it was going in this direction with high speed, you apply the brake, so what is happening? It comes to 0, then it changes the direction. Now what you are doing? You are accelerating, so again it is moving in this direction with increasing velocity. So now body is moving in this direction, so V is what? V is increasing. Getting the point? So like this we have to analyze or describe the whole motion by looking at the graph. By looking at the graph. Okay. So same diagram, if you can, that total motion diagram you can plot for this also. Here what is happening? If this is your origin, okay. So what is happening here? Beginning it is having some velocity. So here it is having some velocity, say b equals to say some 10. So velocity is becoming what? 0. So it is moving in this direction. So velocity will become 0 after 5 seconds. After 5 seconds. So what is happening? It becomes 0. Velocity direction changes. Velocity direction changes and increasing. So it starts moving in this direction. So velocity is in this direction. So it is increasing from again 0 to 10. Like that you can describe or you can draw the motion diagram for any graph. You should be able for that. Then only what you can easily solve the graphical problems in your